Why is it that we Indians never invaded outwards except once? The Cholas, even the large empires like the Mauryas and the Guptas never expanded out of the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so this is another very popular belief among Indians. We see all these forwards and posts on social media. Oh, we are such a peace-loving people. We have not invaded anybody for 2,000 years, etc. And it's completely untrue. Yeah, we know the Cholas did that. Nowadays, people know that the Cholas were a great Indian dynasty, a great Indian empire. About 5 years ago, almost no one knew about the Cholas. Today, thankfully, people are getting to know about the Cholas. But the Cholas are not the only ones who expanded out of the Indian subcontinent. So Indians have been expanding westwards and northwards, north of the Himalayas and west of the Himalayas for thousands of years. You had the Mitanni kingdom, which was present in which was in power in present day Syria about 3,500 years ago. And the royalty, the aristocracy of the Mitanni spoke Sanskrit. They spoke late Vedic Sanskrit, not Rig Vedic Sanskrit, but late Vedic Sanskrit. And we know this because the earliest known inscription in Sanskrit is from the Mitanni Empire, from the Mitanni kingdom. It is a horse training manual by a horse trainer whose name was Kikulli. Now, he wrote this manual in the local language, okay, in the Hurrian language, I think. But there were certain terms, certain technical terms that did not exist in the local language. And therefore, he had to use Sanskrit terminology to describe these terms like Navavartana and all that. So, the number of circuits a horse should complete in one day or in 1 hour, and various other technical terms about horse training. So we find these Sanskrit words, these late Vedic Sanskrit words in this ancient Mitanni text. And there is a royal treaty between the Mitanni and another kingdom. So this royal treaty invokes Vedic gods, Indra and Varuna, etc., in order to seal the treaty. So clearly, these were descendants of Indians. So we have clear evidence of Indians going westwards of India, thousands of kilometers, and conquering and ruling kingdoms as far west as Syria, present day Syria and Anatolia. So that is an example of Indians expanding outwards and invading lands outwards. Let's talk about Kanishka. Kanishka the Great, one of India's greatest emperors of all time. He conquered an enormous empire. His empire stretched from the Caspian Sea to the Aral Sea to Western India to Eastern India and north of the Himalayas. It included the present day region of Xinjiang in China, which is currently occupied by China, the Tarim River Basin. So it was an enormous empire. And he conquered that using military. It was a military conquest. So Kanishka was a great military conqueror. He was Indian. So here we have another example of Indians expanding all the way to Central Asia and Iran and present day China, temporarily China. And then we have the Indian Emperor Vasudeva I, who again expanded into Central Asia and evicted the Chinese from that region. The Chinese were from time to time trying to expand their area of influence. So they were trying to come into Central Asia, and Vasudeva I kicked them out of Central Asia. So here we have another emperor again who has expanded out of India. So there are so many other examples. There is a Manipuri king whose name I forget right now. I will look it up. But this Manipuri king conquered parts of Burma. And there was another Manipuri king who conquered parts of present-day Yunnan, the Yunnan province of China. So Indians have been expanding beyond our present-day boundaries for thousands of years. I have just spoken about a few of these expansions, military conquests. There are many more that I will cover in future episodes, right? Because those are related to the Aryan invasion and all that. So we will have a future episode about the Aryan invasion theory or the migration theory or the tourism theory or the picnic theory, whatever you call it. So Indians have been expanding to all parts of the world for thousands of years. This idea that Indians are a peace loving people who have never tried to hurt anyone or never tried to expand militarily. This is absolute bunkum. It's nonsense. The truth is out there. You just need to look it up. And unfortunately, our history textbooks, all the time, I'm going to say this, our education system does not want to cover these matters. They want you to think that Indians are a defeated nation. Indians did not have any military history. Indians have not been a warlike people. Indians could not ever defend themselves. That is absolute nonsense. The fact is that the opposite of that is true.